Sunday night and another weekend has come and gone. We've got strong winds over a good chunk of the Northeast tonight, although there's some weird things going on with advisories that I want to we'll talk about. Much of this week is going to be on the quiet side. Couple of minor systems that are going to be running around, but no important precipitation events through the work week. Late in this week, we'll probably start paying closer attention to what will be going on in the west, as well as in the Mississippi River Valley, where there's probably going to be a nice, solid. Well, I shouldn't say the word nice. A solid severe weather outbreak. So let's get started tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which you can support. And by doing so, it actually keeps the podcast commercial free, the live version of it anyway. All you got to do is use our referral link to shop on Amazon. If you do shop on Amazon, just use that link to get you there. Amazon throws us some coin for the process. You don't pay 1 penny extra out of your own pocket. And it's very easy and a very simple way to support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And we appreciate very much those of you who have, or those of you who are considering it. And plenty of time still to get your holiday shopping in, and you've got a weather enthusiast in your life, or maybe you're the weather enthusiast in your life. Get yourself a Tempest by WeatherFlow weather station. It's the revolutionary Tempest weather system. It's the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link for this tonight is pinned to the top of the chat board. It's also on the descriptor to this video, or this podcast, and you can run Tempest off your mobile device or get a wall monitor or both. There's a special Joe and Joe Weather Show coupon code, which is exclusive to the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Is it not, Joe Rayo?
It is absolutely exclusive, Joe Chiaffi. And if you use that exclusive to the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast code, which is Autumn 2025, you will get 10% off anything that you purchase at Tempest, which I think is a heck of a good deal.
Yes. So, just like there's some weird stuff going on with the wind tonight. There's wind advisories up, but this morning I was a little bit baffled because they had wind advisories up for much of central and eastern Pennsylvania, all of New Jersey, except the northeastern counties, because the northeastern counties are under Upton's jurisdiction. And they also had wind advisories down into Maryland and Delaware. So this morning I was wondering, why didn't Upton put up wind advisories? Okay, which ultimately they did this afternoon, after the winds were blowing at 20 to 30 with gusts of 45. But tonight, the wind advisories for New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania have been taken down, but you got wind advisories from New York City, western Connecticut, and the Hudson Valley and points north. You've got wind advisories for central Pennsylvania. And I was looking at the winds tonight too, which are really strange. So I was looking at iSlip was last hour was 29 northwest at 29, gusting to 45. New York City wind was not available, so I don't know, maybe the wind blew the anemometer away, who knows. And then I'm looking at winds across New Jersey, and it was like 10 to 15, gusting to 20, gusting to 25. I'm not exactly quite sure why there's such a disparity. I would have thought that you'd have gusty winds at least down through New Jersey and all of Pennsylvania, but this hole has seemed to develop.
You know, it's strange. This morning at about 9:45, I walked Mr. Sweeney, our dog, and as I'm walking down the driveway, I'm saying to myself, this ain't bad. It was about 50 or 51 degrees at that time, and the skies were, partly cloudy, partly sunny, but the wind really wasn't all that bad. And I'm saying to myself, well, we said today was going to be a real windy day. I don't really understand why it's not, gusty and windy as we had forecast or predicted. And I said, well, I haven't had a chance yet to look at any of the maps this morning. And maybe about 15 or 20 minutes later, we had the sky get rather dark shade of gray, All of a sudden, it started raining, but I mean, it raining really hard,
Right.
and the wind picked up, Joe, and I minimally, it was at like 45 or 50 miles an hour. And I said, "There you go." Then the rains ended, the clouds broke. We had a bit of sunshine. The winds were still causing the trees to go back and forth, back and forth. And I said, "Well, there it is. I guess we had some kind of a, or not." I also concluded maybe we had some kind of a trough or something that moved on by. But from then there on, it was a rather gusty and windy Sunday overall for a day.
Now, the other thing was yesterday, throughout a lot of upstate New York, there was convection all over the place. Where did that
That's
come
right.
from? It was everywhere. I
Well,
just
you
could.
asked me on
I asked you Thursday,
you,
should we put thunderstorms in or not? You said no.
and I said,
I said
I don't
no.
think so. You know, and yeah, I was at 7 o'clock last night, and we're watching TV, and all of a sudden, out of the sliding glass doors in the TV room, I see the sky light up. And I said, "Was that thunder? I mean, was that lightning?" And she said, Renata said, he says, "Yeah, I told you on radar. There looked like there was some kind of thunderstorm activity that was moving in or approaching." And sure enough, all of a sudden, you start hearing the thunder. Vroom, vroom, vroom. I
It
said,
was.
Joe Chiavi asked you on Thursday night, should we throw in a thunderstorm for Saturday? I said, "Yeah, I don't think so." Well, guess
I
what? We
didn't
did. We
disagree. I
had.
said I didn't disagree with you. It was very. It was just really weird.
Yeah,
Just overall, this is a very strange run of weather from yesterday through today. And now it was going to get, we're going to get some cold, there's going to be some cold weather coming in overnight and for tomorrow and Tuesday and Wednesday. We may have a tough time getting out of the 40s until at least Thursday.
well, there you go. It's going to be a quiet week, but it's going to be, it looks like a rather windy week, and a week that we're going to have to deal with. Next chance for any rain or shower activity probably not coming our way until sometime later in the week.
All right, welcome to everybody tonight to the chat. Those of you on the
Joe?
chat board, those of you watching in the background, a big hello to you too on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. We're here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. As of right now, no schedule changes for this week. But if we do change the schedule, we'll let you know. Fridays and Saturdays are off days because if we had to do this show 7 days a week, we probably by the time we get to the end of a couple of weeks of that, we'd be pulling our hair out of our head. We need a break too. So subscribe to my YouTube channel. Turn your notifications on so you don't miss us. If you like the show, hit the like button. Joseph Carr, hit the tip jar, and we do have a tip jar, folks. If you feel generous, we won't object. But Joseph Carr hit the tip jar, as did the chairman Scott Briller, who provides us our trivia questions with which what we lovingly call Briller Jeopardy, which we do after we do the weather part of the show, which we're going to do now. And if you don't have anything to add at this point, Mr. Rayo, I was going to move forward to the watches and warnings map.
Let's bring them up.
Okay, as you say, here we go. Uh, in the Northeast, we got a peppering of all sorts of things. We got wind advisories up, and that's in that tannish color. In northwestern Pennsylvania, we have winter weather advisories and lake effect snow warnings up for 4 counties in northwestern Pennsylvania, and in a couple of counties in southwest New York, we have winter weather advisories there. Winter weather, but that's a different color. I'm not sure if that's for South Central New York. I'm guessing that must be just my eyes because it's over the tan. So that's winter weather advisories there for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counties there in South Central New York. And then you move up into North Central and Northeastern New York. You have a few winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings up, and also winter storm warnings up in northern Vermont and winter weather advisories in northern Maine, where I saw some snowfall accumulation amounts about 3 or 4 hours ago, where a lot of folks up there already put in about 2 to 3 inches on the ground. Maybe by this time, maybe at this time right now, could be a little bit more than that. A couple of counties on the upper peninsula of Michigan and on the northern portion of the lower peninsula with some winter weather advisories. And we've got winter weather advisories out in the west in the Sierra Nevadas, extending into Nevada, also in parts of southern Utah, western Colorado, and western Wyoming. Now, here's what the surface map looks like. And there's your low, Joe, a 977 low sitting over western. I always forget, what is that? The body of water that's between New Brunswick and Nova Scotia.
The Bay of Fundy,
Is that the Bay of Fundy? It must be the Bay of Fundy, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, my memory is
Yes,
like
it's the
not
Bay
what
of
it
Fundy.
used to be. There's a
Yeah.
977 low there, and we've got a 10, 20-ish high in Iowa and Minnesota. But it's mostly out of the, between the two, the gradient is decent, but because the low is rather deep, we've got a fairly tight pressure gradient, and it looked to me like it's going to stay on the tightish side, probably into Monday night before it really starts to relax a bit on Tuesday.
Right. I said the winds. I said Tuesday won't be as harsh as what we saw today or what we will see tomorrow, because and not so much that the temperatures are going to go up dramatically, but we're going to have less wind to deal with on Tuesday. So it will be better on Tuesday as opposed to what we've been dealt so far today, tonight, and on into tomorrow as well.
We have a cold front, and you see it there coming into North Carolina. This is the front that moved through early this morning across the Northeast. And the frontal boundary runs down into South Carolina, cuts Georgia in half, and extends westward, cutting Alabama and Mississippi in half over northern Louisiana, and then it gets all squirrely as a stationary boundary through northern Texas and into southern Colorado. A little bit of storminess out in the west. The lows moved into British Columbia there, so a little bit of action going on in the western part of the U.S. Looks like another arm of rain that is coming in, and I think the satellite loop sort of bears that out. There's a nice little rotation there in the southwest, some sort of upper low here sitting in southwestern Utah, and a lot of Pacific moisture there. In the northeast, you got our storm system in the Bay of Fundy, and clouds and lake effect stuff going on, streaming off all the lakes from northwest to southeast. And occasionally we're seeing some patchy cloudiness roll through tonight. The wind, cold air coming in, yes, but with the wind, temperatures are going to be relatively uniform because of mixing. So it's not like you're going to have huge temperature spreads because of radiational cooling. That's not going to happen tonight. So most lows tomorrow tomorrow morning will be in the 30s, and maybe some cold spots will be down in the 20s. But there'll probably be a spread of about 5 to 7 degrees from low to high, and that's fairly typical. Beautiful weather today in the southeast. Just a gorgeous sunny day, a warmish day in the 60s with gusty winds here in North Georgia, and those clear skies extend all the way back to just about the Rockies. So then you start to get into some cloud cover. And here's the radar tonight. Ooh, Joe, very busy. You want to do some local radars in the Northeast because we've got a lot of snow showers going on back to the northwest. Would you like to do that?
Sure would. I will be very happy to. Let me just get the
And while you set that
up,
up,
up, up, up, up.
I'm gonna scout around for some observations just to see what's going on. But you're all set to go. Well, the share button is ready, willing, and able.
My daughter-in-law, in fact, called up about mid-afternoon today and said that there was hail at her house. Now she's only 7 minutes away from where I live, but Renata and I were not too keen. We weren't looking out, I guess, at the right moment. But she claimed that I guess I said, could it be sleet? That might have been sleet. In fact, I think a few days ago, parts of Westchester and New York City reported sleet. But
Yeah.
we again were not. We weren't aware of that. Um, but anyway, let me just hit the share button, and we shall bring up the radar first from Upton. You can see that there are widely scattered light showers or maybe sprinkles that are falling over portions of extreme eastern Westchester, southwestern Connecticut, crossing the Sound and moving across Long Island, and also a few spots in initially when the loop begins over in northern New Jersey. Let me just make this a little bit wider
By
here
the way,
for
it's snowing
everybody to
right now.
see.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, Joe, really quick. Right now, it is snowing in Albany, and well, that's all I can see because apparently the observation list at the Weather Service office for Buffalo, New York, is down. But it is light snow at Syracuse, 9 mile visibility, whoopee. And Buffalo is snowing, and it's 34 there. West wind at 23 gusting. Actually, it's not snowing in Buffalo itself. I take that back. West at 23 gusting to 37. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, here's the Buffalo radar, and you can see that there are areas of precipitation crossing central and western sections of Lake Ontario, and also into eastern and central Lake Erie, and also across portions of northwestern Pennsylvania and western New York. So one would have to assume that all of what you see here, or most of what you see here, is probably the white stuff, probably snow, but again, it doesn't look like it's anything particularly heavy, but it is moving on a trajectory from northwest to southeast, blowing across again parts of western New York. Up in Albany, north of New York City, we have also precipitation flowing from northwest to southeast. Some of this could be snow as well, moving into the Berkshires of western Massachusetts and southern sections of Vermont. Just north of there are the White Mountains, but it doesn't look like there's all that much going on right now. The Green Mountains, I should say, of Vermont. The White Mountains are in New Hampshire, but up in the mountainous regions up there, doesn't look like all that much is happening in terms of precipitation. Let me just take a trek over to this is Caribou in Maine, and you can see that the activity here seems to be moving on a path from southeast to northwest. And I'm not sure whether or not, Joe, that any of this is snow or whether or not they're in the warm sector and are seeing just plain showers. But it does look like that they're seeing some significant precipitation across portions of northern and eastern Maine and into the adjacent province of New Brunswick. They are getting precipitation, and I would presume that that has something to do with that storm that you pointed out just a few moments ago. That what was it now? 979.
977.
977. So I'm sure that this has to do with the storm system up there right now.
Okay. Well, I think that pretty well covers it. And I'm just going to switch over to the wide radar view. If just give me a chance here. There we go. Whoa. I'm doing a few technical things differently tonight, so I'm just getting used to things being on different monitors. So you can see out in the west, it's pretty busy, particularly in parts of Utah and down into northern Arizona, southern Nevada, and in the Sierra Nevadas, we're also seeing quite a bit of precipitation, and that, that's where they have the winter weather advisory. Also up in eastern Washington and into Idaho, we've got precipitation going on there too as well. Now, the Storm Prediction Center has no severe weather forecast for the next 3 days, so that's good. This is WPC's precipitation forecast for the next 7, and you'll notice that in the north, in the east, what you're seeing in Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, and upstate New York, that is going on right now, and the local forecasts for some of the mountains in Vermont and the elevated areas in upstate New York going for up to a foot of snow in the higher slopes. Meanwhile, in terms of total melted precip from southern New England down to north to Virginia, we're talking about a quarter of an inch, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. And then it gets even less when you get to North Carolina down into northern Florida, where we're talking about hundredths, okay, just hundredths, 0.01 to 0.10. and much of central and southern Florida bone dry. However, in the southern plains, into the middle Mississippi River Valley, and into parts of the lower Ohio Valley, an inch and a half plus. And for areas of central and northeast Texas into southeast Oklahoma and Arkansas, we're looking at anywhere from 2.5 to as much as 4 inches. In Arizona, and this I think has to do with the upper low that's there, fair amount of precip for them is right in the middle of the state. There's an extension of about an inch and a half plus of rain, of liquid. Also, inch and a half to 2.5 in the Sierra Nevadas, up in the northwestern part of California, northward along the immediate coast. And there's a strip there where we're talking 2 to 3 inches or more, and then it goes gangbusters in British Columbia because it always pours up in British Columbia. So going forward this week, I don't really see. We're sort of in this weird period right now where we're deep into the fall, okay, but we're not close. We're still not a ways away from the colder, more wintry type patterns that you start to see develop in December. So we're sort of in this meteorological, we could call it a meteorological no man's land. And a lot of this, a lot of the time we spend now is just to try to figure out, okay, how's this all evolving? Is November giving us clues? Is the overall pattern since August, which has been on the coolish side, is that giving us clues? And it's kind of hard to figure. And sometimes it could give you those clues, and then suddenly come December, or late December, early January, when you're supposed to go into the depth of winter, and it flips to the other extreme. But we still have this blockiness across Greenland and Iceland, extending into Labrador. That lasts uh, for a good chunk of this week, and then starts to kind of weaken a little bit, but it's still there as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. Troughs, a lot of energy in the Pacific driving into the west. There's one upper low that's driving into the southwest now. There's another one that's coming into British Columbia on Wednesday. And then there's still more energy from an upper low in Alaska that rides inland late in the week. We get into sort of a flattish ridge position here in the eastern part of the United States, and then here comes the energy. You see this trough coming out of the Rockies and heading into the Mississippi River Valley over the weekend. This, I think, is going to be a severe weather producer, and eventually that whole arm, Joe, gets negatively tilted and lifts up the East Coast early next week, ahead of Thanksgiving. And we've had it happen a few times where we've had severe weather outbreaks during Thanksgiving week with some sort of a front. So maybe this is a repeat performance. And then down the road, there's tendency for troughing to want to come into the eastern part of the United States again because the blocky setup across the Arctic region kind of shifts around, but it never really completely goes away. So there's a lot going on in the atmosphere, and at the same time, we don't really know how this is all going to pay out in the longer term.
Well, I've been seeing a lot of stuff on social media talking about stratospheric warming and talking about how this is going to ultimately cause the polar vortex to collapse and allow for a flow of very cold air to pour in to the United States beginning in December, and all sorts of illusions and suggestions that December is going to turn out to be a very cold and, yes, for some, a very snowy month. So I'm not sure how that is all going to play out. I'm not sure whether or not I would tend to believe that, but I can tell you that after a spell of unusual warmth, milder than normal temperatures, taking us through the end of the month, according to the Climate Prediction Center, their long range, their 3 to 4 week forecast map is indicating below normal temperatures for the first couple of weeks of December. So maybe they do indeed believe that that's going to be the case, and we will have colder weather coming our way as we transition into the new month of December.
Well, I have the 10 millibar map, so we could look at uh, the polar vortex, okay, in the stratosphere, and mentioned last week that it is been unusually weak for the month of November. And in fact, I did see one reputable person who talks about this sort of stuff who um, who said that uh, it's very rare to get a stratospheric warming event of the polar vortex in November, and that there only have been four occasions where this has happened. The last time was in 2000, 2001. And at least as I recall, for that particular winter in the Northeast, it was a cold after a string of 96, 96, 97. After four, I got to do my math with my fingers. After four very mild, very warm, snowless winters in the late 1990s, four in a row, including one winter where it almost, it didn't even snow during the actual winter months. The accumulating snow came after the first day of spring. Uh, the the, uh, the polar vortex is in a very weakened state. 2000, 2001 was a colder than normal winter and a snowier than normal winter for much of the Northeast and northern Mid Atlantic states. And if you look at what the polar vortex looks like, it's all stretched out and stays stretched out and restretches again as we head toward the over the next 16 days. Now, how that plays, your guess is as good as mine. Honestly, I don't know how this plays, but there's been a tendency for blocking, which we haven't seen in a long time. We've seen blocking periods that have lasted a week or so, but this has been pretty persistent with regards to what it looks like over the Arctic regions. So I shrug my shoulders because I'm not sure how this is going to play. But there's a lot here going on. It would not surprise me if we see some, not only some cold down the road as we get into December, but with the volatile nature of what's happening, I wouldn't be shocked if we wind up seeing some storminess. I don't know about where, obviously, but it could lead to certainly could lead to a colder than normal and a stormier than normal forecast period for let's just in general name the eastern part of the U.S. as being in that equation.
And Harold Olson on the chat board, by the way, mentions the Greenland block.
That
Joe used
was
to talk about this on WPIX on weekends, and yes, I remember Joe talking about the Greenland block and the 50-50 low. I have not heard any weathercaster use those terms or that type of terminology since Joe left WPIX, and that goes back a few years. So
yeah, I had a lot of fun. I was able to get away with a lot of stuff. Let's put it that way. And I know you've told
well,
me
you had a
many.
producer who allowed you to go 5 minutes.
Well, if you're going to go 5 minutes and it's partly to mostly sunny, you got to do something. You have to do something. Yeah, I did. I had a great producer. We had an hour show on the weekends. Even in New York, it's very hard to fill an hour show with a small staff. And she'd oftentimes or things would just die in terms of stories that didn't make it or whatever. And I was always her emergency fill in. She goes, I need you to fill 5 minutes. Can you do it? And it's like, of course. And I did.
Yeah,
Anyhow, uh, yes, it's a nice flashback for me.
you
So
used to
here's a
have
week.
your you used to show the earth. You used to show the earth bouncing like a rubber ball into a full screen shot. And I said, where does he get the time? Where does he get permission to do stuff like that?
I had my
Because
own
where I was
produce.
on News 12, they yeah, well, you were lucky. On News 12, they said no more than 90 seconds, and sometimes I'd get even less than that. I had a producer. I'd hear him in my earpiece. Ramp it, Rayo, ramp it. And I hadn't even gone past a minute and a quarter yet.
Yeah.
You know, and then I
No,
have to come home
I
on weekends and sit there and watch. You're giving not a weathercast. You were giving a meteorological dissertation.
yeah, exactly. Oh God. Well, here you go. We got The surface map, I've been. I haven't really been using the GFS. I did get, by the way, I got some links that Dave Tolerus, bless his heart, sent me uh, with regards to the Google DeepMind model, but I haven't had a chance to really go in and look at it. But I'm going to spend some time on it this week, and if I have the ability to do it, I'll bring it up on the air on the show. So here's our low in eastern Canada that's taking a while to get out of the way. The gradient tries to relax. Now, some of this Pacific energy comes eastward. There's a little low there near St. Louis come Tuesday afternoon with a weakening area of rain that heads into southern Pennsylvania and southern New Jersey. Actually, even there's some light blue there on the northern end in northern Pennsylvania. Most of that sliding to the south, but the latest European wants to bring that rain close to New York City and northern New Jersey and point south Tuesday night, overnight Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. Would be a light event, and then that goes out. And then we're back to higher pressure after that. And then you start to see more Pacific energy come Thursday in Texas gathering. And I think this is where we start to talk about whether there's going to be the risk for some severe weather maybe late Thursday in East Texas and Oklahoma, and then eventually spreading further east into southeast Texas and extending northwest from there into northwest Louisiana on Thursday night and Friday morning. Another low in Missouri there, heading east. Uh, Brings the Europeans got rain coming in, which makes sense for Friday night and next Saturday. Looks like a wave that goes by, weakens, but enough of it holds together in terms of the moisture. And then another cool high builds in on Saturday and later Saturday and into Sunday. So no big deals here with respect to major, any kind of major systems, but we are going to see a little bit more action. And on the down the road, we get another system that's going to come out of the Gulf states, and this is where I was talking about maybe a week from tomorrow, where we've got a low that runs up the west side of the Appalachians with a strong trailing cold front that might produce the chance for some showers or maybe some thunderstorms come later next Monday or Monday night. And if you want an early guess for Thanksgiving Day, kind of looks okay. Some action going on in the middle, but not much happening in the east. So that's a pretty generic view of early view of Thanksgiving. But again, on the whole, it does look like action with storms seems to want to be picking up as we head toward the end of November here.
Yes, and I have experienced at least once in my life. This is back when Renan and I went to Antarctica. We actually left the New York area. We left JFK Airport on the Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend, and that was the first for me, and I hope it was the last for me. That was not something that I particularly cared to do again. So I can
I have
understand when we talk
never,
about getaway. Excuse me.
no, I was just going to say, I have never once in my life that I can flown on the day before Thanksgiving or in the that whole Thanksgiving weekend. Never done that and never will. I just never will. I'm not.
It was just a matter of the way things.
Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it was just a matter of the way things fell in terms of timing. I mean, we had to take a flight out, to get down to Santiago, Chile, and it
Da
turned out
da
to be the
da.
Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend, and yeah, exactly. So it was an experience. Let's put it that way.
You have Briller Jeopardy tonight, right?
I will check. I'm not sure, but I will check. Hang on.
Unless I do.
I'm checking. I am checking. I don't think I have it, Joe.
Okay, I'm
I
sorry. Then
think
I
you have
must
it.
have it. So far, the internet on my end seems to be behaving itself. So but you never know. Those things can change. Uh, I think we did this. Yeah, we did this last week. So maybe Scott, so you don't have it?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, you know what? We'll have it for tomorrow. And
I appreciate also Scott. Scott hitting Scott hit the tip jar tonight, but he also offered congratulations to me. I got to 20,000 likes
oh,
a
let me
couple of
go
days ago, Joe,
let,
on Facebook.
so
So
let me go unlike you so that it drops back to 19,999.
uh,
And if I did, if I,
and I
you
still
probably,
remember when I got.
no, I was going to say you probably have. I don't know how many likes exactly you have. You probably have 20,000 and then some insurance. So one person unliking your page is not going to drop it down to 19,999 because then you could take a screenshot of it.
It's something like 20,250.
Oh, okay. No,
Yeah, yeah.
never mind. But it was a thought. Anyhow, um, I had a good weekend. I'm happy. My fantasy football league, I'm in first place, and uh, uh, I won. I I I won big today, which was really nice because the person I was playing was trash talking me for the last 2 days as we were playing each other. A really good friend of mine, and I just kept silent. I didn't say anything in response, and he's going to be so embarrassed because his fantasy team barely showed up today. So anyhow, uh, anything else to add before we
Uh,
say goodbye?
no, I spent the afternoon watching the Giant game. I saw they scored in the last 5 minutes and went ahead, and I turned around to Renata and I said, "Well, now it's just a matter of time to see how they blow it this week," and they did, and that was that.
Okay, Mr. Scott, the chairman Scott Briller just says that you have it somewhere.
I do.
Yes, you do.
I'll check again. I
And thanks for the super
he
chat. Thanks for another
yeah.
super chat hit, Scott. You're,
I will check one more
we,
time here.
by the way, I apologize, folks.
Wait a
We
minute.
have a bit of Joe and I, which doesn't happen all the time, but we have a delay between us for some reason. So, um, I apologize for the lagging that's occurring.
Hang on.
And no sign of it.
Randy Cool, Tracy Lee, Nick Delcato, Joe Rayo, Ellie Baggins. Oh, wait a minute. Here we
Alice
go.
Cramden.
It's like way down there. Yeah, it was way down. It's
Oh,
down. It goes back to Wednesday of last week. So
oh, okay.
there were a number of people out ahead of me. So you want to do it?
Yeah, knock yourself out. Let's do it.
Okay. Greatest 24-hour snowfall records. We're continuing with that for each state. So the greatest 24-hour snowfall record for Idaho.
I have Idaho. I don't know. Okay, I have no clue what it could be. I'm gonna just pick a round number and say, uh, I'm sorry, was it 24 hour?
Yes.
Okay, 50.
Not, that's a pretty darn good estimate. It's not quite as high as it is as the answer, but it's a pretty good guess, Joe.
Well, Bobby Livingsworth is at double nickels.
And Bobby Livingsworth gets it. Alta, Idaho, 55 inches. Ding 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 to you, Bobby. Next one is Illinois.
Illinois. Um, you know, Chicago doesn't get 20-inch snowstorms very often. One of them, I don't know, I have it in the back of my mind that they got one recently, and there are no real mountains there, so it's not like we're talking about elevated areas. So I'll say 22.
So you're thinking about Chicago being the record holder.
Maybe. I don't know. It might not be, but I'll say 22.
That's way below
Oh, way below.
the
Okay.
actual 24-hour record.
Michael Azaris has 31.
That's still below.
Wow. Rich Rothmansky says 36.
And Rich Rotzmansky gets it right on the nose.
Wow.
And
Impressive.
the name of the place in Illinois,
No, I
the
don't
name
know
of the
what's.
place in Illinois is Astoria.
Oh, Astoria, Illinois. I see. Okay. I have no
Yes.
idea where it is, but, you know.
No, neither do I. But how about Indiana?
Indiana. Now, this is where it gets tricky because
That's
Indiana does get lake effect up in the northwestern part of the state. So I'll say, hmm, I'll say 39.
I knew you were going to go above the Astoria number of 36, and but 39 is a bit higher than it should be.
Really? Well, Patrick Darcy says 34.
Patrick Darcy is very, 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 very close. Much
Well,
closer with the
late,
34 than the 39.
Mike Waterhouse Bonsai on Latex Dream says 32.
Well, you see, if you take 34 and you take the 32, which is
And you go to
slightly
Bobby
very, very
Livingsworth at
low,
33.
Bobby Livingsworth gets it again. And this one is for not the cigarette, but the city or the town, Salem,
Ah,
Indiana.
Conroy Jet also got
That,
33, and Chuck Cardillo. Next,
okay. Next one is Iowa.
Iowa. Oh, good God. Well, they're too far west for lake effect. Um, I'll say 30.
A bit low, a bit too high,
A
excuse
bit
me.
too high. A bit, just a smidge. Um,
Well,
so
not a bit, somewhat higher.
somewhat high. Okay,
Yeah.
well, Bobby Livingsworth's at 22. Mike Waterhouse Bonsai at
Bobby Livingsworth,
Bobby Livingsworth. What, Joe?
yeah,
I'm
Mike
losing.
Waterhouse Bonsai had 25.
Okay,
I don't know, Joe. We're crisscrossing, aren't we?
yeah, I know it's getting a little bit difficult. So what's the go ahead and give the answer.
2024, and that was for
24.
Lenox, Iowa.
Okay.
Lenox, Iowa. The last one is, well, the last one, if I pronounce it as the chairman spelled it, it would be Canas, but it's
Oh,
I know it's Kansas.
Kansas. Um I'll say 30.
Yeah. It,
I got it
believe it or
right?
not, he got it right on the nose.
Really?
30.
Wow.
That was for yes,
All right, you know what?
yes, really.
Joe, say good
Pratt, Kansas.
yeah, Pratt, Kansas. All right, you know what? You say goodbye and then I'll say goodbye because this audio thing is driving me crazy. Okay, this delay we got.
Okay, all right. So I will say good night and good luck.
Yes, and thank you for the 88 likes, by the way. A nice number. We always like to get to 100, but thank you those of you who hit the like button and 88 likes. Thanks to all the super chat hits tonight, and we'll be back tomorrow night at 7:30, hopefully with slightly less technical issues, or maybe a lot less technical issues. Take care. See you on Monday, folks. Bye.